What's up guys, this is Pratt and I am back with another video. The PlayStation 4 was released in 2013 to replace the older generation console, the PS3. It's now 2022, and if you bought that console from 2013, then you have a console that is roughly almost 9 years old, and that means you're more than likely having some form of problem with it. Probably you've swapped out a hard drive already or replaced it with an SSD, or like most people, you are experiencing heating problems. Your console isn't ventilating. That was the situation with this particular console that I received last year. This is the PlayStation 4, one of the original fat models. Once you turn it on, once you start gaming on it, you will get an error message on the screen that the console, you need to turn off the console, it's overheating, all kind of problem, right? So I thought to myself, since the PS4 is powered by an AMD processor, shouldn't I be able to cool it with an AMD CPU fan? Yeah, that's basically the premise of this entire video. You're gonna see how I converted and how I basically pimped out this PS4 from this to this. Let's go guys. Cue the intro. So, to start off this build, we need a few things. So we're going to collect all our tools from now. We need some screwdrivers, a few spudgers, I need my power tester, and a small container to save all my screws. Next, we're going to be removing the external case. Now there are two T20 screws at the back that you need to pull before you can get to any internal components. So ensure that you pull these first. Use your spudger and pry the sides, like gently pry the sides, not too much force, and then you should be able to release the top left section of the panel. Also, remember to gently release, gently pull out the power switch and store it somewhere safe. You don't want to lose this, or else you won't be able to turn on your console normally. After we get the external case off completely, the next thing we want to do is work our way around the top section of the circuit board to remove all the screws. This will allow us to get complete access to the fan, which is where we're trying to reach, and all the other components that we can just pull out of the chassis. Now please remember to be careful when dealing with your cables. You don't want to break them or bend them, you'll end up having to replace them. This component right here is the power supply. Do not place your fingers in there or anything metallic, it will shock you. Safety first. Next, we're going to release the flex cables that connect the DVD drive to the mainboard. Now after we've released everything, we should be able to unseat the mainboard like this. We're just going to ensure that we pull off all the cables so we don't break or burst anything. Alright, so here's a breakdown of the problem. The PS4 fan is designed to push air horizontally. The CPU fan is designed to push air vertically. So what that means is that when the fan is active, when the PS4 fan is active, it's going to be basically pushing air in a horizontal direction over the heatsink, which is this huge metal thing that you see right here, and the heat fins is basically where the air will flow through to cool the entire system. And as I said, the The CPU fan doesn't push air horizontally, it pushes air vertically. So what I need to do is figure out how I'm going to convert that vertical air motion into a horizontal motion to cool the entire system. Now before I can add the new fan, I need to first and foremost test exactly what the wire configurations are. The plan is to use the original fan connector from the PS4 fan and then splice it with the wires from the CPU fan. But before I can even do this, I need to identify what wires carry what voltage so I can know exactly how to connect the fan to get a response and to get some spinning action going on. So after 3 successful tests, I have identified where the power is coming from, and now I can proceed with wiring up the fan for my first fan test. So I tested the fan twice, and in both tests it was working, so I was more than confident that I could just solder up the wires, clean up everything, and add this to the system. Quick dust down, clean up and fix up. Alright, the next thing we need to do is find a way to mount the fan into the case. Now you guys can probably see already, like, we have some tiny holes here that I already pre-drilled. These are basically the mounting points, or the new mounting points for the fan. Also, before we install the fan, we need to ensure that we look at the arrows that indicate which direction the fan will be spinning and which direction the air will be going. So we want to line this up to ensure that the air is flowing into the case. We don't worry about the fan direction, we just want to ensure that the fan is blowing air into the case. Okay, now it's time to install the fan. But I won't be using screws for the installation because the screws will damage the frame, so I'm going to be using some bread wires to securely tie the fan inside. So after we've secured the fan, we can start reassembling the system. Using some isopropyl alcohol, I'm going to give the heatsink and the CPU a quick clean down. I'm going to remove all the old thermal paste, ensure that I get it off completely, and then I'm going to apply some new thermal paste so I can get optimum cooling. Alright, so we have everything sealed up. it's time for the first official test run. Alright, everything look good so far, playing good so far. Shit. This thing is still overheating. I may not even put on the cover or the chassis as it. Oh, gee. So, if that fan isn't keeping it cool enough, what's the most logical thing to do? Add another fan. That's where this big ass case fan comes in. The next thing now was basically to find a way how I would implement this fan into the system. Basically, I did some checks. I was able to rewire the new fan, and after turning on the console, it would come up. Surprisingly, it would keep the console cool, and then I figured it was basically time to add it because it was working, so time to flesh out a new design for it and figure out how I would just slap it on and put it in there, and this is what I came up with. So after much scribbling and much designing, I basically settled with an X pattern. So after some off-camera work and a little bit of off-camera trick, here's what we have. Alright, finally, the last thing we need to do is just basically clean up the design. I had a sheet of vinyl just laying around for some years, so I decided that this was the perfect time to use it. I also added a bit of mesh to the vent for the fan to ensure that we don't have any insects or any dust getting inside of the system. To improve airflow, I also made a hole into the base of the chassis. Now this will allow the CPU fan more access to air so it can circulate air better. Also, to improve the cooling, I added some rubber feet to the base of the system. Now what this will basically do is raise the console about an inch off the surface. That will increase the amount of air that can get underneath the game, which will improve the internal airflow and the cooling of the system. And after we reconnect the last piece of the chassis, this is basically what we have. One last thing, so this sticker is just completely ugly, so before we can finish the build, I need to remove it. So I'm going to use this hair dryer, heat it up, and then slowly pry it off so we don't have any sticker stains. Now here's the final build. So, a few takeaways from this thing. There are a few things that I think I could have done better. The vinyl wrapping that I used first and foremost, so it was a few years old. There are a few air bubbles in the wrapping. There's a seam where the wrapping was, it crystallized over the years because it's plastic, so it crystallized. And there's like a section of it where it was kind of broken. So when I tried to seal that back onto the plate, the covering plate, it's actually kind of visible there. So if you should get very close to the console, then you will see those small imperfections, you will see those flaws. So what I might do in the future, I might actually re-wrap this thing to give it like one flush look, no air bubbles, nothing, right? I'm thinking also that I could probably put like a grill, if I had like a grill to put on top of the fan to keep all like probably hands or insects or whatever like that, because as is right now it's open, so if anything should get in there it's gonna hit the fan, right? Also, I'm thinking where I have the feet, I could probably use some screws to mount them, but I didn't want any form of protrusion into the case into the chassis of the console because I don't want any metal thing poking anywhere that might cause a shortage or anything like that. So I thought the safer way was to use like glue. So that's what I use glue. But it's pretty firm. It holds it's once you get it to bond and stick onto the thing, then it's gonna hold. But separate and apart from that, it's a build I'm proud of. It's the first time I'm doing something like this. Very proud of it. And I intend to do a lot more. Been working on a project from last year, well, several projects from last year, and I have a few more this year that I'm gonna be posting on the channel. So stick around for that, keep an eye out for that, and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, so when I do send out or post these videos, you will see them before everybody else. Thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed doing this build. I enjoyed making this video. Comment on what you think on the build. Comment on what kind of videos you think I should do next. So yeah, thanks for watching again, and peace out. Peace.